Hi guys, welcome to LoveCast, the Boys Love podcast, where we talk about everything related to boys love. I'm your host Pixie, and with me are my co-hosts Kayla and Alexa.
Hi.
Hi.
So today we have some interesting topics to go through. First, we're gonna start with tea time, and the first thing I want to get Alexa's opinion on
Oh no.
is that today, Omar, the actor for Young Royals, posted on Twitter that he has gotten cornrows.
Yeah, I did see
What?
that.
What?
Yeah.
He is half Venezuelan, half Swedish. Or I think he's from Venezuela and moved to Sweden, so he's full Latin.
Venezuelan.
Yeah. And he posted a long tweet about how he's not culturally appropriating anything, he's just appreciating, because he went to a African salon with his African friends and got these cornrows. And everyone in the comment section is completely fine with this because he's good looking.
Yeah, I saw I think Jen quoted his tweet about it and she was like, yeah, when you culturally appropriate but you're hot, so people let it go. Oh my god. See, here's the thing, is that some people genuinely do see that kind of stuff as appreciation. Especially like he went to an African salon and had it done, which is a lot more than that can be said of some people that just try and do it themselves and don't have any knowledge on like the history of it and stuff like that. But I feel like if you have to make a tweet that explains why you're not culturally appropriating something,
then something's
it's
wrong.
Probably something you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
Or like, if you're gonna do that, like, you have to like at least think about your audience. Like, I wouldn't have maybe like, sure, more power to you if you wanted to go out and get cornrows, but also like, you know your audience and you know the people that follow you and are fans of you, and I feel like you should know how they respond to things like this. Like, generally people who watch Young Royals, I would say, are pretty like liberal and leftist in their views, which means they are probably not the kind of people who take well to cultural appreciation as opposed to cultural appropriation. So it's just like, I don't know, at this point, like, it happens so often between like K-pop idols and everything. I just have to like close my eyes and sigh and then just like let it go.
Yeah, I have to say, like, since I'm from Norway and he's from Sweden, I know the culture here is very ignorant about stuff like this. I know that a lot of my friends went to, when we were younger, even kids, went to Spain and got our hairs, or they got their hairs braided. I never did it, but yeah, cornrows and everything. Like, it was a big trend when I was little.
Yep. I mean, and like, yeah, I get that, because like you live in a fairly homogenous country, so like most of the people you see and interact with are white. So like, I'm sure things like cultural appropriation aren't as talked about in like daily interactions and existence as they are. And if he went to a salon in Africa, but it's in Sweden, the salon has probably taken on some of those views as well, the people who work and live there. So that is something to consider. But I don't know, the internet, when you're putting it out on the internet, you have to think about where you're putting the stuff that you do out.
With this, he obviously knows it can be taken as appropriation.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, if you have to explain why it's not appropriation, then like, he's not ignorant. He knows how it was probably going to be taken and felt the need to defend himself. So it's just like, probably not his brightest moment.
Yeah, I really liked him and Edwin, and I kind of lost some of that, like, I from seeing that, like, I won't go and attack him for this or anything like that. You shouldn't do that anyways. But I won't follow him so closely anymore because that was dumb.
Yeah, it's more the reaction than the action itself, honestly, in that case. Like the need that he felt to like come out and tweet about it leaves a worse taste in my mouth than like the actual cornrows himself. Like,
yeah, and he has a lot of influence, and all these younger kids are gonna think like, yeah, that's fine to do.
Yeah,
That's
he looks good, so it must
appreciated.
be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I love Young Royals.
yeah.
I've watched it like twice already and was thinking about watching it a third time. And actually, I was going to follow them the other day, Omar and Edvin on Instagram, and then I just didn't. And then now that this comes out, I'm like,
you're like,
but yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about it. I agree with what Alexa said.
Yeah.
Another day, another person.
Yeah.
It's nothing new anymore, honestly.
Yeah. Well, often these BL actors are really young as well. Not that that excuses it, but you usually see a lot more of this kind of behavior when they're younger.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, and KinnPorsche is back in the news.
Yeah,
it's back.
And I reactions.
think it's super shady, honestly. I'm gonna be completely honest. When I saw the new company, Beyond Cloud, I researched. I could not find any information about this company. They took over all the Filmania accounts, so they have no accounts of their own. They just came out of nowhere. And I checked the merch page that KinnPorsche had before. It's gone completely.
Huh.
So if anyone bought any merch, the website, if you try to look it up, it's completely gone.
Get anything.
You're not getting anything.
Yeah, I saw and like we also did a short on this that kind of goes into like the details of the actors and stuff like that. But I did see someone was talking about Beyond Cloud and the BLT Cafe server today. And someone was like, the fact that like it's just this random company that popped up and had no existing like social media presence before this kind of made them think that it's maybe like being privately funded. And like someone just wanted to kind of put a company front on that to be like, yeah, this company that doesn't seem to have really existed before is now funding this project. So I don't know.
I kind of wish we had like contacts in Thailand who could check the like company registration or something, because I want to know who they're under. I mean, either it's a private or it's another company who just like
popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, like,
and then what's to say the same thing that happened to Filmania won't happen again, because that's basically what Filmania was.
Yeah,
it's just like a brand new company.
There's nothing stopping a company like, as an example, Motive Village to just start a new smaller company and just
create like a subsidiary or something.
Yeah. So
I mean, we know Motive Village doesn't have the money for that. Let's be real.
But they might have gotten the funding for it because KinnPorsche was big.
True.
Yes, but it's just speculation, right? I just think it's really shady that there's no information on this company.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
And what do you guys think about the trailer? Or the teaser? I can't call it a trailer. Teaser.
It was fine. I mean, it didn't really give much.
No.
I mean, it was like aesthetically nice, but I said before, like some of the other they had released, like, I guess they're doing like a fan meeting or something tomorrow, and like some of the other like graphics and stuff I've seen them putting out don't
really bad.
Yeah, and like, you know, that's not to say that anything about the production itself for the budget, but like the graphic quality so far has not been impressing me yet. So I don't know. I'll follow some of the teasers and stuff and see how it looks when we get longer snippets.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they changed the vibe of the show, kind of.
Yeah, I think so too. And that makes me very, very skeptical that it's, one, going to be good, and two, that it's even going to follow the original plot line or archetype in Porsche.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. I'm really curious to see what this fan meeting will be like, because I have a feeling that's what's going to confirm the final cast and stuff like that. Because obviously Perth has tweeted officially, but there were some other people, some of the ones who had made some of those tweets before, and then like there's also gameplay and stuff. So I feel like this fan meeting that they're doing is kind of going to be what confirms who the new final cast is. So
yeah. I'm kind of scared about gameplay and Jeff because I haven't seen them do anything together for a long time.
Yeah. They've done like some like smaller like lives and fan meets and stuff, but I mean, I think ever since gameplay left Warper earlier this year and he's under a new company, so like I guess they've been trying to branch him out into different stuff too, but I feel like it would not be very smart of them to just kill Jeff Game completely before they've even really gotten a chance to like do something full on as like a pairing, because like they had He She It, which was like a very like lower budget kind of web series type thing, and Ingredients, which is an advert, but like Kim Porch was going to be their first like actual series together, so it would suck to see them die before they even got there, honestly, because they do have a really solid following. Oh yeah, there was the Ingredients did a special episode a couple weeks back, so there's been some like smaller content, but
I'm just very suspicious that gameplay hasn't posted anything all the other main actors did. So
yeah, he's only one of like the main cast, like the main 3 pairings, I guess, that haven't said anything.
I really hate that they threw out Perth.
Sad.
Yeah, that really upsets me too.
That leaves a very sour taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
We all know Perth is our best boy.
Yeah.
So like, and also he's the only person in that cast that I like actually actively follow on like a regular basis. So I'm like, all these other people, like, I mean, I know like I follow Mile and Oppo on Instagram and I follow Jeff and Gameplay and stuff, but like Perth is the one person who I like actively consider myself a fan of that was in the cast. So he was a lot of the reason. I mean, obviously the first trailer looked good, but also him being in it was like a big part of it too. So it really sucks. And it sucks for him and all of his fans who are looking forward to it.
Yeah. So like we mentioned, we do like make shorts of news when they come out. So if you want to keep up, it's just follow our YouTube channel because they'll all end up there. We also did a short about Top Tap and Mike. Mike on following Top Tap. And I checked and Top Tap has unfollowed Mike as well now.
Oh, and I saw today that Gaji followed Top Tap back now. So
there's
some
drama.
some personal drama going on there.
Yeah,
we'll
but
probably never know. But
let's reiterate that do not go and ask Mike or Top Tap what is going on.
Please just respect their privacy.
Yes, if they want to tell us, they will tell us. We are not entitled to know about their private lives. So, yeah.
The thing is, like, friends fight, dude. Like, and in the age of social media, like, when you're angry at someone, you can unfollow them on Instagram, and they just happen to have a big platform where people pay attention to that stuff. But, like, we don't know what's going on. Like, they might be fine in a couple weeks or a couple months down the line, or, you know, like, I think we just need to let it be and hope that they, like, work it out amongst themselves. Because that's the only way anything's going to get done. We can't fix the situation for them. So like asking them about it is not going to help.
Yeah. Honestly, good on them for not saying anything.
Yeah.
There's enough bullshit by public figures putting their dirty laundry online.
Right. Yeah. I
never
just
makes things better.
How much like power or connotation following or unfollowing someone has.
Yeah.
Because in the grand scheme of things, it's like, we're like, oh, it's not a big deal. But I guess for people who ship to them as their couples, it's a big deal because you're like, are they never going to speak ever again?
Yeah.
But it probably, like you said, just is like a fight over something, maybe at the most, who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. We'll see in the future. Like if there comes out more information from them willingly, then we will talk about it. If not, we're just gonna leave it. We don't need to know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
End of story.
Yes. And also, we have some news. We are doing TikTok now.
Yay. We are getting with the Gen Z program, y'all. Actually, I say that like I haven't been obsessed with TikTok for like the past year and a half now. But
I'm one of those people who just scroll continuously for hours on TikTok without even realizing it.
Same.
I had an account. I've been on there like 2 times before this. I feel so old. But I'm trying.
Yeah.
So we have a few TikToks on there. So go check it out.
We'll be doing like at LoveCast podcast, just like on Twitter and IG. So, you know, we'll be doing like edits of the episodes with guests, some edits of just us, maybe some behind the scenes stuff from the podcast. Like if you guys have any like trends or anything that you want to see us probably embarrass ourselves doing, let us know. You know, feel free to duet and stitch everything that we do. So yeah, just like go interact with us and give us ideas, because I think we're all very new to like editing and making TikToks. So anything you can throw our way, we are open to.
Yeah, and I feel this whole part of TikTok where you can interact and sort of make things together and just like it seems really fun.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool TikTok communities out there, so
I will try.
You're ready to dive in.
My old brain will try and learn what's up. Do not start calling me a boomer.
We are all, I think we're all still millennial. We all fall into millennials, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am technically a millennial.
Yeah,
I'm like right on the cusp.
Like in between, but probably more millennial.
Oh, okay.
TikTok is for like all ages though. Like
yeah, there are a lot of I think after
moms, like
yeah, I know.
Yeah, you can get on Mom Talk, Pixie, with your wine mom energy.
Oh my god, yeah, we made a TikTok of me drinking wine with Pavel. Or he wasn't drinking, I was drinking a lot. Just for context, I was going to a birthday afterwards.
Gaming.
It was like the first time drinking in like a year because I have kids and I can't just drink whenever.
Yeah.
Your rationale is like, if any guest will understand me drinking on the podcast, it would be Pavel.
And he was fine with it, just saying.
Oh yeah, that's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, go follow us on TikTok, friends.
Yes, do. Okay, so what are we discussing today?
I'm just like, oh gosh. Like when I was trying to think of notes for this, I was like, my brain was everywhere. I had so much trouble organizing my thoughts.
Yeah, I have a little notes thing here that's kind of all over the place as well. But yeah, we're talking about LGBT representation in boys love, in terms of like on the backside of things, like actors and the industry and people involved in the productions, as well as like BL themselves as falling into the category of LGBT media. So I think we're kind of just going to be covering everything in that kind of spectrum. So yeah. Where to start?
I think I have a very basic opinion. That's not too deep about like this. Okay, I'll just explain. So I think that in general, sexuality should have nothing to do with the part you are acting. Like actors shouldn't have to put forth like who they prefer to have sex with to get a role. It shouldn't matter. But there's a but. LGBTQ plus is severely severely
underrepresented, yeah,
in the industry. And that needs to change. So it's sort of like, it's a balancing scale there, because I know, like, we've heard about BL actors is like in Thailand and stuff don't come out with their sexuality because they're afraid to be left out. Because like we've talked about on earlier episodes when Motive Village came out with the whole casting no gay men.
Yeah, that was our episode with Kayla. Yes. Before she was a part of the podcast.
So yeah, it's a really difficult situation, especially in countries like Thailand and stuff, where it's being LGBTQ plus isn't really appreciated.
Yeah. I think I've been watching like TikToks from this Thai person on TikTok, obviously, and he's talking about how because of BL, Thailand is this place that is touted as being very LGBT friendly and a place where gay people are accepted and trans people are accepted, and they have really high rates of people getting gender affirming surgeries and stuff like that. But on the flip side, like, gay marriage is still illegal, and there are still a lot of rights that the LGBT community doesn't have there. And so I think that a lot plays into a lot of why there are probably a lot of queer people in the BL industry who are still in the closet, because they do lose a lot of opportunities because of that. Even though the show being made is focusing on queer couples, the actual queer people in Thailand don't get that same level of respect or acceptance that we see them getting in boys love, I think, a lot of the time. And so I think that's why, for me, like you said, I don't think that someone's sexuality needs to play into them getting a role either way, whether you're casting for straight or queer or whatever. But I do think everyone needs to be afforded the same opportunity in terms of casting and access to roles and auditions. And right now, queer people in Thailand don't get that. There's a lot of casting discrimination, like we talked about. And if they are openly queer, like a lot of the trans women that we see in BLs and like minor roles, they get very typecasted into certain types of characters. So in that way, I think we do need to see more LGBT people in boys love being afforded the same opportunities that the straight passing men who are most often casted in the main roles get to have.
Yeah, and I think going along with that, sometimes fans or BL fans might kind of downplay how important conversations that some of these shows start, how important that is, because I think a lot of us do have a westernized viewpoint on it.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Yeah, like for example, in the US, I feel like we see LGBT people in the media so often that it's like almost shocking when a show doesn't have a gay character or like a gay subplot. But like I was thinking of it from the perspective of comparing it to like the Philippines, because that's what I'm familiar with,
right?
Where the only mainstream representation in the media is like drag queens and comedians. And they go through like the same type of typecasting and just like being mocked so much that it's like normal to make fun of them. So I think that we have to understand that like culturally BL makes a difference. And just normalizing acceptance of the LGBTQ plus community, and honestly a similar way that it makes a difference historically for women as a space to express their sexuality. Because I feel like we're kind of in the same boat where we just want to tell our stories and experiences in this space that, and I guess both groups would be considered marginalized.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I feel like it's very important for BL to be an accurate representation of being LGBT. I like lost my train of thought. I guess that's my basic opinion on it, is that I feel like it's really, really important to just be conscious of the way that they're depicting gay people, specifically gay men.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to do that without losing the BL elements for it, just like Game Boys did.
Yeah,
that's what I thought of too. Game Boys.
Game Boys on the brain at all times.
Game Boys. Because it's like you have a show like that it was marketed as the first Filipino BL, and it is a BL according to the writer, but it somehow managed to have like widespread attention on the LGBTQ plus community in the Philippines. So a lot of people who are LGBT and didn't even know that BL was a thing ended up joining the fandom because of that show that is BL.
Yeah, that's why I feel like for me, it's also important to have LGBT people involved behind the scenes as well. In the same way, like, I don't think every BL show has to be made by an all queer production crew, but I think having a queer voice, at least like offering advice in some form, like we talked about, I can't remember who we were talking to, but they talked about like bringing in other LGBT people who weren't involved with the series to give their advice on the way to do certain stories and things like that. So, you know, I think, and a lot of BL is written by straight women, as we know. So I think, you know, if you have a BL that's written by a straight woman, or BLs adopted from novels, I should say, are written by straight women, and then you bring in a queer cast or a queer advisor or someone with more knowledge to kind of help you in that transition to making it a television show. That's how you can, like Kayla said, get more accurate representation while still keeping the things that make it classic BL. And I think that's why shows like Game Boys have done it so well, because they have those queer voices behind the scenes and involved in all different aspects, kind of knowing where to toe the line and bring in good representation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I do think like it's important to have like a balance between women and like gay men. If you're making a BL, like you cannot, that's why I have a problem with Secret Admirer, because you have a gay man taking over the series and changing it for his own liking without taking any information from the actual author.
Right.
And that's too much. You need to have like a cooperation to make it good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's something to be said for having, as Kayla said, two marginalized groups. Like, you think there would be a level of mutual understanding there, that we're both trying to create a space in a series that's not catered to the cis het male view. So there is a way to kind of pay respects to both sides of the line and bring the community together. And I think it's just about a lot of productions and crews and stuff finding where that line is and working together and creating something that falls into that overlap together.
Yeah, I feel kind of sad about how they're doing things in Thailand right now, because it kind of seems like they're afraid to move out of like the established way of doing things. I mean, the last couple of years they've seen so much growth, and they're afraid to move away from what created the growth.
Right.
But I think that if they want to evolve and not be left behind, they need to do that, because like the Philippines, South Korea, Taiwan, everyone is coming in to get some of this cake. And if you're not doing it properly, people are going to leave you.
Yeah. I actually wrote a lot about that in my notes. because like you said, the industry is growing. And I think along with that, the audience is changing as well. You know, when BL was first coming onto the scene, it was mainly, I mean, women, and mainly straight women or straight identifying or not out queer women watching it and reading the yaoi and reading the mangas and stuff like that. And as it's become more globalized, it is reaching queer audiences in different places. And, you know, queer people are drawn to things where they can see representations of their stories. So of course, there's now a lot of queer people in the boys love fandom, and a lot of people from Western countries, and just, you know, the fandom has become so much more globalized than when it was such a niche thing within Thailand or within Japan. And I think production companies and directors and writers also need to take that into account, like what their audience is. And especially because so many shows now do cater to their international audiences, I think that kind of stuff also needs to be taken into consideration when creating the show in order to grow and evolve and make something that can kind of suit all of those audiences.
Yeah. In terms of, like Pixie said, keeping the balance between BL and LGBTQ plus media, honestly, I feel like most BL tropes are pretty harmless. Like you have ones where they're like roommates or like soulmates or like stuff like that. But I feel like there are a couple things that really we need to progress past, like so bad. Like I kept thinking of Tharn type when I was writing these notes. Like because like even though I like the story of Tharn type, the way that Tharn is depicted is very alarming predatory. To me. He's very predatory, and I feel like when I was younger as a BL fan, I would have just accepted that as like the reality.
Right.
Like, oh, this is fine, this is okay. And because I've been there, I really worry about the not so great influence that that lack of like real LGBTQ plus representation is having on younger BL fans. Because like I've seen it myself, like in my own comments, people being like, oh, this is what gay people are like. Like,
no, please don't think that.
Manipulative and abusive. And like over time, they come to make that or take that in as their definition of like what love is and like what it means for someone to care about you. And it's not okay.
Very stressful.
It keeps me up at night.
I mean, that makes me think we just talked in our live about History 4 and how most of the stuff in that series felt like it came right out of a 2016 Boys Love series and felt like it was taking so many steps back with a lot of the tropes and the way they characterized a lot of the characters in the drama. So I think it can be very alarming when you see that stuff coming out now and see the young people who are now becoming aware of boys love. And you know, we see people as young as like 13, 14, 15 coming into like the BLT Discord server and being exposed to these shows, and they're such young little babies, and I'm just like, I want to protect you from all of these horrible tropes that you're seeing. Like, please know this isn't real life, this isn't real queer experience, like please.
And I think like the whole trend of focusing on the actor's sexuality is really damaging for the whole industry. I mean, I was getting a little bit back to Omar. When I was researching him, I came across an article about Edwin. The article was basically Edwin's sexuality.
Yeah.
I mean, why is a reputable newspaper or whatever, or any news sources printing an article like that?
Yeah.
What the? Why does it matter?
It reminds me of how interviewers in Thailand will just ask the actors to their face, like, "Are you gay? Do you have a boyfriend?" Like, that's just that's just not journalistically okay.
So
From my
weird.
journalistic background, I could tell you that's not something that you would ever be taught is okay. Like, you're always taught boundaries and ethics. And so I'm always really shocked whenever the entertainment journalists just come out and are like so blunt about asking them things that are private.
Yeah. I mean, some people aren't thinking about like the ramification of what they're actually asking. Like, you're basically asking someone to tell you who they like to have sex with. You're sharing your sex life in public, on TV, in an article. You're speculating about someone's sex life.
And also, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but if they are queer, you're basically asking them to out themselves if you want them to be honest with you. So, like, what?
Yeah.
Why would you ever think you have the right to that information, like as a news source or a journalist or anything?
Yeah, and especially in a country where they might not be as accepted for coming out. Like, that's like, was it Ari that said it about, like, in Japan, where it's basically it can be like really damaging for people to come out because it's not as accepted, especially if you're a woman, because women are like it's not good to be a woman in Japan. But yeah, can we stop focusing about I know it's hard because we're really focused because it's BL and it's male, but can we just, like, you're not going to Western straight actors and asking them which women they had sex with. That's
would you have sex with your co-star? Are you actually dating your co-star? Like, that stuff is so weird to ask. Like, and like that standard isn't there for heterosexual couples. You know, if they're doing press for a movie, like, people don't come out and ask them, so are you guys a couple in real life?
Are you having sex?
Yeah, it's like
please tell us.
Brain goes directly to like thinking of them sexually.
Yeah.
Because they are perceived to be gay or might even be gay. They automatically sexualize that.
Yeah.
You don't need to do.
Yeah, I think it's important to be talked about because, like, we said, a lot of the young people who's coming into this might not understand. And especially when there's so many comments that are going, like, asking this, and journalists are asking it, and in general there's a lot of talk about the actor's sexuality that it seems like it's a normal thing, and we should not normalize this at all.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, we want to make the fact that queer people can be involved and straight people can be involved and people of any gender or sexual identity can be involved without it being a big deal. So, like, the more you focus on who does this person sleep with in real life, are they actually gay, like, you just make it less normalized for those people in real life and for people seeing queer people in real life. You know, the more you make it a spectacle, the less you're normalizing it, if that makes sense.
Let's normalize minding our damn business.
Literally, it's that easy.
I mean, I'm fine with people kind of sitting in their own heads and fantasizing about stuff, but don't bring those fantasies to people. Like, just real people you're fantasizing about. Like we said in the fanfiction episode, don't bring your shit to the actors.
Don't bring your unmentionables to them. Just like respect boundaries. Like, I don't know. You know, that's the thing with celebrities, is that they do get dehumanized because of their career as celebrities, and especially in BL because of the fan service involved in the industry and that blurring line between what they do in the series and what they do in real life, and that fan service and all that kind of stuff. I feel like fans take that as an invitation to pry and dehumanize them even more. And like, you know, they'll pretend to kiss each other on stage at a fan meet so I can bring this stuff in their face and they won't mind. But that stuff is still part of their job.
Yeah, they're still acting, like, guys.
Yeah,
they're still
that
acting.
Doesn't mean, like, I think we just have to, like we were talking about with the Top Tap and Mike News, respect their privacy and remember that they're real people and they don't owe you any information about their sexuality, how they feel about each other, how they feel about the weird fanfic thing you have fantasized about them. Like, don't bring that to them. It's that simple.
Yeah, and it's fine with like fan art that's like cutesy. Like, yeah, they
appreciate a lot of that stuff. Probably
really cute, but not the not safe for work kind.
Yeah. Keep it safe for work. It's right in the title. If it's not safe for work, you don't need to be sending it to your fave on Instagram or something. Like, yeah, that's so weird. Like
I don't mind that you do it. Just keep that shit to yourself and your
community that appreciates it. Yeah.
Don't push it on the people unless they've asked for it.
Yeah, and there are
like Pavel with his thirst tweets.
Yeah. And like I know like Dan and Phil, the OG YouTubers, have done like numerous videos about them reading fan fictions that fans have written about them and stuff like that. And those are instances where they're asking for it for work purposes, obviously. Yeah. But like, yeah, if they ask you to send them a dirty fanfic, then go ahead. Yeah. Otherwise, keep it to yourself.
Yeah. People have different boundaries. And we need to respect like each person. Yeah. You can't treat one actor like you treat the other because they will have different boundaries. So you need to make sure that you listen to what they tell you. And if they haven't said anything, then you should assume that they don't want anything. Side of safety.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Any more notes?
Well, I mean, I feel like we already covered everything, but just that, like, I think it's a good thing that we put pressure on future BL writers and creators to represent the LGBTQ plus community in a way that is respectful. I agree with like the whole thing. Like, no, I think that the majority of gay people do not care if a straight person is playing a gay person. Like, that's not really the issue. It's just, it has more so to do with how things are written, which you could always go all the way back to the novel for that. But that also, we could get into how, well, we talked about this before, how things need to be changed from the novel to be appropriate to put on television.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think putting pressure on them is a good thing.
Yeah. And you can put pressure on them without being toxic.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I know a lot of people aren't a fan of Mame. I'm not either. But I feel like there's just no point in just like attacking an author. Like, maybe explain what you don't think is right. I don't know, but you're just wasting your energy by
I mean, someone like Mame would be more open to hear the criticism if you presented it in a factual and kind way instead of just yelling on Twitter
warrior
cancel Mame. Like, what is this shit? And like, if you want her to change, you need to give like constructive criticism, and that means keeping your toxic words away.
Yeah, it's just about channeling your energy into the right places.
Yeah.
So you know, Twitter is not the right place unless you're, I don't know, creating some kind of formative discussion on Twitter, which rarely happens. I feel like, you know, Twitter's not really a place you go to get strong long-term change from people, and calling people out on the spot is not gonna enforce any type of real long-term change either. So, you know, I think there are different avenues that you can take your desire for change and better representation to. You know, And
yeah, I mean, if you want change, money speaks. So
Yeah.
just like boycotting the series or not buying merch, stuff like that will make people notice, and you don't need any toxic words to do that. It's, you can like just say that I am not supporting this show because of this, and just let it be. You don't need to start yelling and yelling just to be the loudest person on any platform. I mean, people are just gonna ignore you as a psycho and move on. No one's gonna take you seriously. If you're yelling at people on social media, no one is gonna take you seriously. They're gonna think this is like a 13-year-old kid and I should not engage.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the concept that two wrongs don't make a right. So that's what I always think of going into it. But yeah, I feel like the overlap between BL and LGBTQ plus media isn't that harmful, and it could be harmful, as we talked about, but it's usually not that harmful. And I think that, like you said, with a lot of the other countries coming in and making BL, I think that the companies like in Thailand will see that people want something different. They don't want these like tired out tropes. And yeah, I mean, you were right. Money speaks. Put your money where your mouth is.
And I also think seeing productions that are headed by queer actors and queer productions doing well will also show them that hiring queer people in your productions will not ruin your production. So, you know, if you want to see more queer people cast in Thai dramas, I think it's important to make sure to support productions that openly queer people have been in. You know, Boys Love Productions, which, you know, we know a lot of the Filipino productions are casting queer people and have queer people involved behind the scenes. There are some out queer actors who have projects. So I think supporting those people in their projects lets the people who have the money to invest in shows and actors know that shows casted with queer people can still do well and be successful, and that you don't necessarily need a big buff straight hot man for people to thirst over to make a successful BL production.
And a little bit of a tangent here, but it's I just want to say that because talking about queer actors and stuff like Bruce, how everyone was so incredibly supportive over him and his boyfriend. Can you please start doing that when the actors have girlfriends too?
Yes, this is true.
Right?
So hypocritical to attack the girlfriends of the actors, but then this actor comes with a boyfriend and then everything is fine. This is just like our BL dreams come true. I mean, give me a break. Seriously.
Also, like, someone having a girlfriend does not mean they're not queer, because bisexual people exist. Just because someone is dating someone of the opposite sex does not mean they're not queer, but it shouldn't matter either way. Shouldn't matter. Like, they should just deserve that respect either fucking way. It's that simple.
Again, we're coming back to privacy. Respect their privacy.
Basic
they
respect.
Are dating in private.
I feel like we've all learned this at young ages. Basic, decent human respect. It's not that hard.
Yeah, I just feel people forget it online. People forget that you're supposed to be human online.
Yeah. We're all hiding behind our little icons, so forget that everyone is actually a real person on the other side of their screen as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of, someone once, I saw someone post once that they wanted the internet to, like, you needed to have your name associated with all your social network profile, anything. You needed, like, your legit name to post anything online.
The internet would be a very different place if that was the case.
Right?
Yeah. People would have accountability, but also I'm like, would that be good for, like,
that would not be good for freedom of speech. Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
Would that be a good thing for them? I feel like they would not have a safe space then.
I know. Yeah, it would be really bad for some situations. Yeah, I mean the anonymity, it kind of weighs out like the positive outweighs the negative.
Yeah, it
but
kind of,
sometimes
yeah.
I just wish that people say it with
certain people
your own face.
Yeah.
If you can say it to a rando on street, then you can say it online. If you cannot tell a person to their face what you're writing online, then you should not be saying it.
Be saying it. Yeah, very true.
Yes,
that's actually kind of the reason why I decided to like use my voice in videos instead of doing the whole Google thing, because I was like, this is what I think.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna say it, and it is my opinion that belongs to me, and like I'm not gonna hide and try to be anonymous, because I think this is a really important thing.
Yeah, I do think it's important to have more people that speak up, and that's why I thought like us showing our faces and stuff when we're talking about like a lot of important stuff. I think it's important for people to see who's actually speaking, that it's easier to disassociate when you're not actually seeing the person or hearing the actual voice. If it's just a robot voice, like I hate the robot voice.
Me too.
I hate it with a passion. Yeah.
Cat.
Yeah.
In conclusion.
In conclusion, Mel agrees with everything we said.
So yeah, any last thoughts or?
I think we pretty much, I've gone through all of my notes in some form, have touched on everything I had.
Yeah, I think we covered everything that is important about the topic.
Yeah. Perfect. Great. Okay. Thank you for listening, guys. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and leave a review on iTunes, and join our Patreon for exclusive content. There's a lot. And yeah, go to our TikTok and follow us there and interact with us and social media and everything. And we will see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye.